Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I will be talking about my summer reading plans. There are so many summer book releases that I am very excited about. I have a lot to talk about. As always, I will leave my Goodreads list linked down below that has all of these books. I don't really include the re-releases in my Goodreads list unless I haven't read them yet, but the Goodreads list should have a majority of these books if you want to find out more information about them or add them to your TBR. I think I'll just go through all of the new releases and then the re-releases, and then I will quickly talk about all the other books that I have on my TBR. Because there are so many new releases, I'm not going to really explain each book. I will maybe give like a brief summary or like the major trope or genre. But let's start with the June releases first. So the first book is Realm of Thieves by Karina Halle. This is a adult fantasy romance. I believe it's about dragons. Then we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This I think is a sapphic vampire story. Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. This I believe is of course magical realism. I think it follows a struggling musician and a music writer, and I think they team up to write some music. I like to go into Ashley's books not knowing very much because I just feel like she creates the most unique and interesting plots, so I'm very, very excited for this one. Then we have Liam by Jay McLean. This is the fourth book in the Preston Brothers series. Honestly, I don't know anything about this. I have read the first three books in the series and I really enjoyed them, so I'm definitely going to read this fourth one. I'm assuming it's new adult contemporary. The last new release for June that I'm excited about is A Touch of Fate by Cora Riley. This, I believe, is a new mafia standalone romance. I also believe this is Marriage of Convenience, which I love. Then we have our July new releases. So the first one is Huckleberry Hill by Emma Slate. This is the first book in the Saddles and Spurs series. This is obviously a cowboy romance, and I think it is Surprise Pregnancy. Then we have Overruled by Lana Ferguson. This is about two rival lawyers who end up having a rivals to benefits situation, and then I think they fall in love. It just sounds really fun. I'm very excited about this one. Then we have The Invitation by Jodi Ellen Malpez. This I didn't really read too much into, but I read, I think, like a couple sentences from the summary, and it was giving very much This Man, which I love, and I have been craving this type of romance from Jodi Ellen Malpez, so I'm very intrigued by this one. I'm gonna wait until some reviews come out, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on this new release. Back in the Saddle by Maggie Erkesley. This is cowboy romance. I don't really know much about it. I just added it to my TBR and it comes out in July. The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. This is a fantasy romance and it is, I think, loosely a Dramini fanfiction. I believe this author has written Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Falling in Love or something like that. And this is, I think, supposed to be like a reworked version of that, but it is supposed to be a little different. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't read that fanfic, but I am very interested in some like Dramini fanfictions being traditionally published. I just think it's very interesting. So this one is on my TBR. And then we also have Rose in Chains by Julie Soto, which is another Dramini fanfic. I believe this is supposed to be The Auction, which again, I also have not read, but I am curious to read the reworked version of it. And I just feel like this is a better way to support these authors through the published works, because obviously you can give your money to them instead of just reading a fan fiction for free, you know, which is not bad, by the way. I don't think reading fan fiction is bad. I just haven't had the opportunity to read these Dramione fanfictions, so I'm very interested in the published versions. This one, I don't really know much else about it other than it is a Dramione fanfic and it is fantasy romance. Then we have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mendana. I really enjoyed the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and so I do want to pick up her next book. I don't really know what this is about, but I'm sure it's going to be a very cozy, witchy romance. Then for our August releases, we have If Not For My Baby by Kate Golden. This is apparently supposed to be like a sort of hosier fan fiction or something. I think it's about a musician who falls in love with like his backup singer or something like that. The cover is gorgeous and I've heard really good early reviews, so I thought I would put this on my TBR. Then we have Cowboy Casual by Holly Renee. Again, I am just into these cowboy romances and I want to make another reading cowboy romances video. So some of these may end up in that video, but I think summer is always the perfect time to read cowboy romances. So this is another one that sounded fun. It also has a cute cover. I don't remember the exact plot, but I love the cover. Same with The Runaway and the Rugged by Remy Rose. The cover drew me in and I just added it to my TBR. I'm sorry, I don't really know anything else about these other two cowboy romances. Then we have For the Record by Emma Lord. I think this follows two musicians that fall in love and then break up, and I think they reunite years later. Fall I Want by Lyra Parrish. I believe the ebook is actually already out, but the physical book comes out in August, and I would prefer to have the physical copy. I think also the sprayed edges are supposed to be like a design, which is fun. And I believe this is a cozy, small town fall romance. And I think the male character is a billionaire or something. The cover is just gorgeous, and I do feel like this is probably a cover buy for me, but I am curious to read it. And then the last new release that I have is Until the World Falls Down by Jordan Lindy. This is pitched as Labyrinth meets Beauty and the Beast, which immediately intrigued me. And then we have a couple of summer re-releases. So these are books that were originally self-published that are now being traditionally published, and they have a new release date, and most of them have new covers. So for the June re-releases, we have Grin and Beard It by Penny Reed. This is the second book in the Winston Brothers series. I love this series very much, and I will be collecting the new covers. This series is basically a small town romance about the Winston family, and they all have their little romances. Very cute, very fun. I'm sorry if you can hear Blue. She's running around. She's having the zoomies right now. So she's like running from room to room. Then we have Cash by Jessica Peterson. This is the first book in the Lucky River Ranch series. I have not read this book yet, so this is technically like a new release for me, but the cover is gorgeous. I'm very excited to read this. Of course, it's a cowboy romance. I cannot wait to read this one. Then we have Pucked Love by Helena Hunting. This is the 6th book in the Pucked series, and this is a hockey romance. Then we have Nightshade by Autumn Woods. This is a new adult dark academia romance. I think it's like enemies to lovers. I am very intrigued by this book. I haven't read this, so this is also another new release to me, and I'm really excited about this one. I definitely will be picking up the physical copy. And then the last June re-release is Wicked Deeds on a Winter's Night by Kresley Cole. This is the 3rd book in the Immortals After Dark series, and this is a series that is just getting new covers. The whole series is actually being like redone, I guess, and they're just getting new covers, which is fun. I think I've only read like 10 books in the series, and I think there are like over 20 that are out right now. I would love to collect these new editions and slowly like reread the series so that I can catch up. This whole series is like an urban fantasy series, and it mainly follows like witches, werewolves, vampires, and fae, I do believe. For July re-releases, we have Opal by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the 3rd book in the Lux series. I am collecting these new hardcover editions because they are gorgeous. This is an alien young adult sci-fi romance. Then we have Offside by Avery Keelan. This is the first book in the Rules of the Game series, and this is a hockey romance. This I haven't read yet either. I'm gonna wait until this new edition comes out. Then we have The Game Plan by Kristen Callahan. This is the third book in the Game On series. I really love this series. It is sports romance. This third one is about an NFL player. Highly, highly recommend this series. It's so good. And then actually there are no new August re-releases that I know of or am interested in. I'm sure I'm missing a few. I feel like it's so hard to keep up with a lot of re-releases in general because so many are going on all the time. So I'm trying my best to keep track, but I don't think there are any re-releases that I'm excited about for August. Now we'll quickly get into my other reading plans for the summer. I would love to try to read a lot of the new releases that are coming out that I obviously mentioned. Honestly, I'm very excited about a majority of them, so I will hopefully read a decent amount of them. I also need to get onto my 25 for 25. I'll link that video down below. I unfortunately haven't read much from that list yet, so I really need to get on top of that. I also kind of don't want my summer reading to be super structured. I mean, to be quite honest, my TBRs are never really structured. Like, I have ideas of books that I would love to read in the season, but I feel like 9 times out of 10, I never read everything that I talk about. I do want to try to get into my 25 for 25 more, and obviously a lot of these new releases. And then I have a small pile of books here that I would love to also read. A majority of them are summer related. But first, I am going to reread Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. This is the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. This is becoming a Passionflix adaptation. The first episode airs June 5th. And I will be rereading this and watching the TV show and making a whole video on it. I think it's been like almost 10 years since I've read this, so I don't remember much, to be quite honest. I just remember really loving it. I think I did give it like 5 out of 5 stars back in the day, so we'll see how I feel about it now. And I am going to reread the entire book, then watch the first episode, and I am going to watch each episode weekly as they come out. So my video won't be finished until like the end or like middle of July after the last episode airs. So you won't see the video for like a whole month, but I am very excited to reread this and watch the TV show. I hope it's going to be Passionflix's best. Fingers crossed. Then for the summer related books that I want to read, we have Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. I believe this is a little bit of a heavier summer romance because I believe the heroine is mourning the loss of her mother and her divorce. And she's a single mom and she falls in love with a younger man. I've just heard really good things, and I feel like summertime is probably the best time to read this. I also have The Wrong Mr. Right by Stephanie Archer. This, I think, is the second book in the Queen's Cove series. I haven't read the first book, but the second book I'm really interested in. This takes place in a small town, and the heroine works in a bookstore, and the male character agrees to be her relationship coach. This book is giving very summery. I don't know if it takes place in the summer, but I want to read it this summer. Love Next Door by Helena Hunting. I have been meaning to read this for, I think, the last 2 summers, so I really need to read this. It also is just giving very summer vibes to me, and I love Helena Hunting. The heroine goes back home to take over the family business, and somebody moves next door. Then we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I, of course, need to read this. I want to read her newest book as well, but this is definitely a priority. I like to read Abby's books in order, so I need to get onto this one. I don't really know much about this. I've just heard amazing things. I've heard that this is a lot of people's favorites by Abby, so I'm curious because so far my favorite is still The Friend Zone, but I'm excited to read this one. And then lastly, that is on my TBR for sure, is A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. Again, this is a cowboy romance, so I feel like it is perfect to read in the summer. And obviously if I read this and I like it, I think I do want to continue the series even if I don't like this one. I do want to read the next two, so I will hopefully, I'm not going to say that I'm going to read all three in the summer, but I will definitely read this one and then maybe I'll pick up the next one. But yeah, I probably will start this on audio because I've tried to start it physically and I just can't really get into it for some reason. So I think if I start it on audio, it'll help me get through the beginning and then I'll probably physically read it. But I'm excited to continue the series. So those were all the new releases and the other books that I have on my TBR for the summer. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can do another cowboy romance video, and I want to do a reading summer romances video, so I might read some of these in a vlog. Fingers crossed I can do those vlogs this summer. Those are like the themed reading vlogs that I have on my list for the summer. Let me know any new releases that you're excited about or re-releases. Let me know what is on your summer TBR. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.